dollars since this all began, maybe regained. One of the things that's happened is that the United States has lost, like, what is it, $1 trillion or $11 trillion since this all began, maybe regained a little bit of it, but has lost all of that, and not a single trade deal has been struck.
And the reason why they haven't been struck is because lowering the headline tariff number is the easy bit. The 90 days is now going to be dealing really with the non-tariff barriers, the rules on procurement, who can own what this and that, the other. It's difficult stuff. It's very, very difficult. But I have a question, and I'd like to address it to my dear and good friend, Mr. Jennings. This is it. Today, the president gave a 90-day moratorium. Why did he not last week, when he did his show and tell with his list, say then, this is going to be the tariffs in 90 days. Now send your best people to Washington to negotiate with me over the next 90 days. Instead, he took us over the cliff and he's now pulled us back up again, and he's left chaos in his wake.
I think the answer that you would get from the administration is doing it this way gave him maximum leverage. It showed people that he was serious, and it showed people that this isn't for show, that if you don't deal with us, we are willing to act here. But I think the answer is leverage, simply leverage. And now he's going to be able to deal with all these other countries and continue to isolate.
He's shown people that he's serious. I think he's shown people that he's crazy. He's mercurial. Honestly, if it was Kamala Harris behaving this way, they'd call her hormonal and hysterical, right? Look,
we'd have to get elected to be.
But, well, yes, and if she had been elected, and if Hillary Clinton had been elected, if any woman had been elected and been acting this way, they'd say it was menopause.
She would have never stood up to China. So I think this is a mood issue, right?
No, it's not a mood issue, because his craziness and the way that he acts, and this is not in a vacuum, because it's not just the tariffs. It's the first thing he did was attack Panama, Greenland, Denmark, Canada, allies. Abandon Ukraine, cozy up to Russia. It's been one thing to after another. But this is also very, very similar to what Doge has been doing, where they go in with a sledgehammer when everybody talks about needing a scalpel. With these tariffs, again, went in with a sledgehammer, caused fear, destruction, distrust, when it could have been done with a scalpel in a strategic way.
That's just not the administration was not on the same page. I mean, it was the narrative around these tariffs has changed so many times. First, it was, it's punitive because of Mexico and Canada and fentanyl, which, by the way, a majority of the fentanyl crossing the border is from American citizens. Then it was, we're going to level the playing field, and this is how we're going to pay for tax cuts. It does not show that he was serious. It shows that he was grossly unserious. And so yet again, on the heels of a Signal group chat and now tariffs, we look like a national embarrassment.
Well, let me just play one thing, Gina. Let me play one thing to Tiffany's point. I mean, Donald Trump and Scott Bessent have not been on the same page about this. Bessent has been trying to paint this as a pretty rosy picture, saying, the bond markets had nothing to do with it, and the way that the market responded had nothing to do with it. Trump said the opposite. Listen to this.
It's watching it, but if you look at it now, it's beautiful. The bond market right now is beautiful. But yeah, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy.
How much of this decision was driven by the bond market cratering overnight? What is happening with bonds? Is China selling their bonds?
I have nothing that says that, and we actually had quite a good 10-year auction today.
It's kind of a casualty of being in Trump's cabinet that he will contradict you just a few minutes after you say something. But it had everything to do with the bond market. According to all available reporting, they went to the president and said, Mr. President, all the lights are flashing red right now. We have to change course.
Well, he did. And I think it's important for the president to adhere to the advice of his advisors. These are complicated matters. The market, for the most part, likes stability and continuity. We all understand that. We talked about this the other day. With that said, I think the end result needs to be, can we level set with many of our trading partners and decrease the trade deficits that ultimately exist? If we can do that, I think that's a win. As it pertains to corporate America, I think once we pass corporate tax cuts or renew the Trump tax cuts, I think we'll see a significant amount of that wealth return in the next couple of weeks or 2-3 months. I think corporate America will be perfectly fine. And then we'll move on. The focus does need to be on China. I mean, Scott's right. They steal our IP and sell it back to us. I don't know any country in the world who would give their ideas away for free and then buy the ideas back. We have to figure out a way to protect American businesses and entrepreneurs. And we haven't figured that out in the past couple of years now. So I think there's some benefit to the American people and businesses by focusing the attention on
I think
China.
everybody agrees with that. The problem is China's not playing ball. They're just ratcheting up the
But
escalation.
they're going to have to, though, Abby. We are their number one trading partner.
Are they?
Number one trading
There's
partner.
no have to in this.
Right.
Because let's start looking at trade flows. I wish I had a map or a diagram. You're going to start seeing south-south trade. You're going to see trade avoiding the United States.
Yeah,
Let's remember.
Can I just have you explain very briefly what South-South trade means for people who are, you said it a few times.
Well, it's basically anything, it doesn't go through the northern hemisphere. It's southern hemispheric countries trading with each other, avoiding northern hemispheric, and that would include the EU with its regulations, and the United States. We're seeing huge amounts of Africa to Central and Latin America, Australasia, Asian, ASEAN trade. Can I just also have a reality check here? The sword of Damocles, if you will, has been lifted again and is now hanging over on the big stuff, but we still have steel and aluminium, or aluminum, as you insist on saying, steel and aluminium tariffs.
We're in America, Richard Quest.
We still have auto tariffs, 25%. We've still got 125% on China. And we have tripled, or he has tripled, the average tariff overall to 10%, which is livable. I'll give you that, Scott. It's livable 10%, but it's still a tripling of where it was just a couple of weeks ago.
How do you account for the fact that China has seen a significant decrease in their economic growth throughout fiscal year 2024 compared to 2023, and how that has to factor into the considerations of Xi Jinping moving forward and trying to bridge some type of a trade deal with the United States?
If Xi Jinping was standing for Beijing North in an election, it would, but it doesn't.
Different kind of system. Effectively no politics, Michael. I think this is an important point. China, Xi Jinping does not have to deal with politics in the way that Donald Trump and the Republican Party have to deal with it. That is a fundamental difference in our systems.
The Banking and Budget Committee. Senator, very, very grateful for you to be on today to talk about tariffs, talk about the economy. But let me start where I was talking with Christine Romans. When you have oil going below $60 per barrel, that starts impacting states like Louisiana, Texas, an awful lot. About a quarter, as you know, a quarter of your Louisiana's economy comes from jobs in the oil and gas industry. 300,000 employers. You can go on and on. But the bigger problem is that suggests that some of the smartest minds across the world are betting on a recession. What are you saying to your business leaders when they're calling you about where this goes next?
Well, this is what I'm telling them. With tariffs, an eye for an eye just leaves both people blind. When a government imposes a tariff, it's putting its thumb on the scale. It interferes with people's freedom to exchange goods and services. Some countries, China, the best example, have used trade barriers as a weapon to hurt the American economy. You said it. God created the world. Everything else is made in China. President Trump decided to try to change this. And he, as we know, has imposed dramatically higher American tariffs on these countries. But then, at least for me, an extraordinary thing happened. We have 195 countries in the world. Probably 40% have come forward, and instead of bowing up and fighting, they've said, we want to lower our tariffs. Will you lower yours? I frankly never saw that coming. I think it is a wonderful opportunity. Now, I don't want to feign understanding. I do not know what the president is going to do next. There's an internal debate and going on inside and outside the White House. I can just tell you what I would do, Joe. I would pounce on this opportunity like a ninja. And I would use this as an opportunity to reduce, or in some cases, Taiwan, Vietnam, European Union,